Hello everyone, this is Yeeflex and welcome back to another Yeeflex Outdoors video. This is going to be my short recap video for my trip up to the Delta fishing for striped bass. So basically, I've been fishing in the California Delta for many years. I've been fishing in the Delta since I was probably either in 8th grade or a freshman in high school, which was quite a while ago. So let's just say it's been about, I don't know, a good 10, 12 years that I've been fishing in the Delta. And over the years, I've had a couple good trips, but on this day that we went to the Delta, this was probably my second best trip fishing up there. Basically, the day started off kind of weird because when we were heading to the Delta, we actually got caught in a really big accident where we would have been stuck in traffic for like 2 hours, but luckily there was a diversion when we were on the freeway, so we got up to the Delta a little bit later than we wanted to get up there, but we were able to launch out of the launch ramp. As you see, it was pretty foggy out there, and we were afraid it was hard to see visibility wise on the water because there's like a major big channel where big freighter ships go through the middle. So it's really hard to tell when you're driving the boat where you're going. So again, I went with my uncle and my cousin that I went with poke polling in the previous video. And actually, this was almost within the same week because we went poke polling the Sunday before this striper trip, which was on the next Friday. So I would say like 5 or 6 days after poke polling, we went striper fishing up in the Delta because it just happened to be Veterans Day. So basically, we were out on the Delta probably at around 8 o'clock. Got our first bite, like our first real bite at around, I don't know, I want to say like 9 o'clock, and my cousin caught a 17 3/4 striper. At first, we weren't sure like if we should measure it against my uncle's net, but then I suggested, measuring with the tape measure because we knew of someone that actually got a ticket from having a striped bass that was a 1/4 inch too short. So we measured it out, ended up being a 17 3/4 inch striper, so we had to throw it back. And then my cousin actually, after that, caught a 20-inch striper, which was pretty crazy. And then after that, we were getting like a lot of little bites in between. Then my dad actually ended up catching a 18-inch striper. Then I ended up catching an 18-inch striper all before lunch. And then after lunch, there was a little bit of a lull where we didn't have bites for maybe like half an hour to an hour. And then towards the afternoon, it started picking up. And then my uncle ended up catching a striper and my dad caught a second striper. So we ended up catching 5 keeper stripers and just a bunch of little kind of other stripers, because there were multiple times where we caught stripers that were like 16 or 17 inches, so they wouldn't make the 18-inch mark. So in California, the size limit for a striper is 18 inches and the bag limit is 2 per day, so 2 per each person per day. So you can only keep like 8 stripers if there are 4 people on the boat. So we got about 5, so we got about 2.5 persons limit, which is pretty good because normally when we go out there, we either get skunked or like 1 or 2 keepers are caught throughout the whole day. So a pretty great trip overall. And it was interesting because I want to say after we caught our first 3 fish, actually a game warden came by and checked our fish and our fishing license, and it was pretty good because we threw back that 17 3/4 fish. So if we happened to have not measured that fish with the tape measure, my uncle definitely would have gotten a ticket because my cousin caught that fish. So it would not have been as good of a day as it was at this time. So just my one thing is always carry a tape measure and always measure the fish against a tape measure. You never know if it's going to be close or not, and just always throw back the fish if you think it's close when you measure it and you think it's close after you measure it too. So always do that. So basically, after this striper fishing trip, I would say this was probably my second best fishing trip overall. You'll see some of the pictures. I think the picture you'll see with the striped bass, there's only 3 in the picture because I didn't get a picture of these stripers when we had 5. I only took it when we had 3, because right when we had 5, like, we were um, getting a lot of bites throughout the day, and then towards the end of the day, my uncle cleaned the fish and just threw in the cooler, and then we ended up just leaving because it was getting dark, so we just kind of wanted to get out of there. So I didn't even think about taking a picture of the 5 fish on the stringer. But you will see in this video actually that I did cook the striper. My uncle did bleed out the fish and he scaled it all on the boat, which was really nice. And with him bleeding out the fish, just pulling the gills, getting all the blood out, it made a huge difference in terms of taste when cooking the striper. But the way I cooked the striper, at least for my dad and I, was I did it in a Mediterranean bronzino way. So basically, it's lemon sauce with some oregano, garlic pepper, garlic powder, um, infused in a sauce, and then I stuff the inside of the striper with red onions and some homegrown cherry tomatoes we just happened to have. So I stuffed the onions and tomatoes inside the fish um, after I cut all the slits on both sides of the fish. And then I put some oil, salt, pepper, yeah, and then stuff the fish with the red onions and tomatoes. Bake that first, and then after that finished cooking, took it out, opened it up, and then heated up the sauce with some olive oil, lemon juice, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and oregano, and then just put that on top. And man, it was really good. That's probably one of the best fish I think I ever cooked so far. I've cooked many fish so far. If you've seen on my Instagram page, or if you just know me outside of this Yeeflex persona, I've cooked various trouts. I've cooked various stripers that we've gotten from a friend of ours. I did it more of an Asian style, more so than a Mediterranean style, but this Mediterranean style of cooking this striper was probably my favorite style. So if I ever got striper in the future, I definitely would try this recipe again. Maybe modify a couple things, but overall just kind of use the same recipe. But if you see in this picture, this is kind of what I post on my IG page, but I haven't been using it as much, so figured I'd just throw it in this video. But this is kind of a shorter, well, it's not really short recap, it's kind of a longer recap, but a little bit of a catch and cook element involved, but it's just a picture of what I cook, so not really catch and cook. But anyways, overall a really great fishing day. Glad my uncle had a boat to take me and my dad out there, and we were just glad that the fishing was great, because the last couple times we went out there, we got skunked. We didn't get any bites all day, and it just seemed like the day we were fishing, the stripers were like really hungry. Like, they would tap or nibble at the rod and the bait, and then sometimes you just take it down. Like, there were more takedowns where you're able to hook them, and luckily we were on the luckier side where the fish weren't all 17 and 3/4. They were actually like 18 and a half or something like that, or just barely 18. So they were actually keeper size, because normally we're not lucky and they're always short of 18. So overall, just a great trip, and one of the best striper fishing trips that I've ever experienced so far to date. And I've gone fishing in the Delta, as I said, for the last 10-12 years, and this is probably like the second best fishing trip up in the Delta I've ever had. So overall, just a great trip. I had so much fun. That and poke pulling, just these last 2 fishing trips have been so fun. So makes me look forward to fishing for trout in the spring at the normal place, San Pablo. They open up in February, so I hope to be going out there, and I hope to be making more recap videos next year in the spring when I go trout fishing a little bit more. So anyways, hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next Yeeflex Outdoors video. All right, have a good one, everyone. Peace.